Welcome to Crafting in the Night. If you're new here, my name's April, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. It has been at least 8 months since I've posted my last video, but today I'm taking a stack of blankets to Project Linus to donate for charity. These are projects I've worked on over the past year and are finally ready for donation, so I wanted to take a minute to show them to you here. Let's get started. The first blanket I have is this diamond weave V-stitch blanket. This is a pattern I found on Daisy Farms Crafts, and I used a Karen cake. I forget which type of Karen cake, but the colorway is Pool Party, and I love the way it worked up. And then for a border, I did a simple, it looks like single crochets, and then a bobble all the way around, just using the same Pool Party. So it does change a little bit in color. But the stripes are kind of long. So this is my diamond V-stitch blanket from Daisy Farms Crafts pattern. And all of these patterns I will link in the description below. Some are patterns from other creators and others are patterns that I created. And not all of the patterns that I created have the patterns ready yet, but as soon as they're ready, the links will be in the description. All right, so let's go to the next one. This next blanket is a linked double crochet, and I actually found this pattern in a vintage, like 1900s crochet book. And so it creates this really nice dense weave. And I used a Karen ombre yarn for this. And then for the border, I also used a vintage pattern, and it's kind of neat. It has some texture. I have the border pattern written up, but I don't have it published yet. So as soon as I get that published on my blog, that will be linked on the post with the blanket as well. So this isn't technically my own pattern. But I will have this pattern published on my website because it is a public domain pattern. It's almost 100 years old, or maybe even 100 years old. Next up is my Cooper blanket pattern. Now I've actually already worked this blanket in 2 different colorways. The first was using Lion Brand's jeans yarn, and I think I've already shown that in a previous video, but if not, I'll go through and then I'll be sure to show it in a future one. This one I worked up the same pattern in a peach and gray colorway. So I actually had this Karen, I think it's Karen 1 pound in coral that I wanted to use up. I've really been trying to use up my stash. I think I've seen a lot of creators this year that are trying to do the same, but I really want to get a lot of this old stash that's 1 to 2 years old just sitting there and actually use it in projects. I mean, I bought it because I liked it, right? So that's what I did here. I took this color, a coral color, and you can kind of see, I'll lean back here, it's kind of a fresh take on a modern, on a mitered granny rather. And I do have most of the pattern done for this, and I'll have it on the website soon. This is my Cooper blanket. And then for a border, I just did a simple double crochet all the way around. What I love about this blanket is that it works up so quick because it's all granny squares, but it doesn't look like a traditional granny square blanket, right? It's got so much different shapes and kind of the ways that you work the corners. It just makes it a fun project, but super fast. This next blanket is also one of my patterns. This is, I'm calling it, I think, a sunset corner to corner, but basically what I did was I took a Karen cinnamon swirl cake and I worked it up in corner to corner, but I did panels going 7 across. So this is worked join as you go. You kind of probably started down here, and then you work until you get 7 wide, and then you work all the way up. When you finish the first panel, you finish up here, and then you work the next panel connected down, and it creates this kind of cool chevron effect, but without actually having to put a lot of work into it. So this is really fun, especially if you already know how to do corner to corner and you're looking for a little bit of a challenge. This is a great pattern. And once again, I am in the process of writing this up, and then it will be on my website. And if you haven't been to the website before, the link is in the description, but it's craftinginthe.night.com. And typically what I do is I try to get the pattern written and then film a video tutorial so I can post it all at once. But for some of these, I'll have the written pattern done before I have a video tutorial, and then things will just kind of come along. I've been really busy over the past 8 months, so not everything is getting done in the time frame that I wanted to get done, but we'll get there eventually, right? All right, this next one I think I've shown before. This one I've called the Purple Fields Blanket. And I know this uses a basic stitch, but I can't remember what it's called. I have it in my notes. So this one is worked with, I believe it was Bernat baby yarn in a variegated, and then 2 shades of purple, and then a cream color. This one was really fun to work up. What I love about this yarn, and again, I'll post a link to the pattern, which will have all of the yarn details. But what I love about this yarn is it's so soft and flowy. And then for the border for this one, I did a simple moss stitch and then added in a row of that light purple. And then for the very top, it's also moss stitch, but instead of doing a chain 1, I did a chain 2. And that adds kind of that little baby bit of a ruffle at the top, which I love. So I do that a lot on some of my baby blankets because it is just so cute. So the next one, Mikey at the Crochet Crowd posted this heart blanket pattern that I wanted to give a try. So this is Karen 1 pound in yellow. And then this is a big twist variegated, I believe, that I used for the hearts, and I don't remember exactly what it's called. This one was kind of fun, but honestly, it didn't work up as nicely as I had hoped. The hearts, I mean, I guess they look good on camera, but when I look at the blanket, they don't look as much like hearts to me. They kind of look more like butts, but still, it's cute. And it'll be donated. And then I wasn't sure what I was going to do for a border. So for my Project Linus chapter, you have to have 36 by 36 minimum. And my width was fine. My width is like 40, but I was a little bit short on my height. So I just tried to work up a shell border that could add height to the top and bottom. So the sides are just single crochet because I was fine on width, and then I worked the same border top and bottom. So this one was fun. Again, not my pattern. I got the pattern from Mikey at the Crochet Crowd, his video, which I think originated from a Yarnspirations pattern. And it was fun to do, but I probably wouldn't do it again just because I didn't like the way the hearts turned out. Nothing wrong with the pattern. The pattern was super easy to follow. This next blanket is a blanket a pattern I got off of Etsy. What I loved about this pattern is it kind of reminded me of my science background. So when I look at this pattern, I think about molecules in science. And again, I'll link to this pattern in the description. I don't remember offhand who created it, but so you start with these octagons in the middle, and then you work up each side has the same, you go up top and bottom to get your length. And this was a lot of bobbles, right? You're carrying the yarn through each row, so you can kind of see the colors being carried in the middle there. A lot of bobbles, but a lot of fun. I did weave in all the ends. So for each color, you have all these ends to weave in, and then just put a nice simple border. The border's included in the pattern. And even though this was a lot of work, it really helped me use up my stash on some of these colors. Again, this coral color, like we saw in the Cooper blanket, was one that I needed to use. So I still had some left over, so we put it into this blanket. And then I tried to choose kind of colors that were more, I think more for a boy, but they're still gender neutral, right? This blanket could work for a boy or a girl. But it turned out super cute. I love it. Again, I probably wouldn't do it again just because all of the bobbles were a pain. But if I did do it again, I might do it in white with some really colorful bobbles, but we'll see. All right, we're down to the last 3 patterns. So this one is just a simple corner to corner in another Karen cake, I believe. And I'll have to link, you'll be able to see all of the yarns in the links for the pattern. And again, it'll take me a little bit, but eventually they will all be in the description below. And if you really want to know something and you don't see it in the description, just reach out to me, leave a comment, and I will be sure to get back to you. And by the way, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. It really does help my videos show up in the YouTube algorithm so that other crocheters can see them too. Okay, let's go on to this blanket. This is just a simple corner to corner, all using the same color for cake. So this is, I always have a corner to corner project for on the go. They're great to carry in the car. They're great to take on vacation because you only have one color of yarn or one type of yarn to take with you. And the pattern is a very simple repeat. So I love doing corner to corners. And that's all this one was, just a corner to corner. And then for the border, I did a really simple, it looks like half double crochet, a foundation row of half double crochet. Actually, this one used, I think, a block stitch. So it was a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in between the blocks here. And then row 2 was 3 half double crochets in that chain 2 space. And then for this little kind of, it reminds me of a cloud, this little cloud border, what I did was a single crochet, 3 double crochets, and single crochet all in the same stitch, and then skipped, it looks like skipped 2 stitches, and then did the same in the next stitch, and then just did the same all the way around, including the corners. So I didn't work anything special for the corners, just continued around no matter how it laid. And I think it really gives it a kind of a cute little cloud feel to this rainbow blanket. This blanket is a pattern I also got off of Etsy. This is a Filet crochet blanket. So I had gotten a Lion brand Santa sack, and it came with the Pound of Love in this color straw. And I'll be honest, not my favorite color. So I wasn't really sure what to do with it. So I found this Filet crochet pattern, honeycomb pattern, and it was great. It used the whole pound. It worked up nicely. And then I thought, what am I going to do for the border? So I wound up doing kind of converting the Moroccan tile stitch into a border, and I love how it came out. So I used Red Heart Super Saver in Cafe Latte and gold, and just worked that all the way around. And I think it really gives kind of a nice honey pot kind of look to the blanket, and ends up nicely. All right, the very last blanket was a pattern I found online for Jonna Martinez. And she has a couple different, I think she has one that's like Victoria's shells or Grandma's German shells or something like that. And that one has more holes, which really isn't good for Project Linus. But I found this shells pattern, and again, I'll link it in the description below. She has a video tutorial, so it's completely free. Whereas this Filet crochet blanket and the science kind of looking blanket were both paid patterns. This one's completely free. I used a Lion brand mandala cake and some Lion brand basic stitch in white, and I absolutely love how this came out. So it's beautiful. There's no need for a border. It's got a beautiful edge on it. And one thing I loved about this, while getting started was a little bit confusing for me, I had to slow down the video. It has some puff stitches. I know that's kind of dark, so you may not be able to see it, but getting started was a little bit, you know, learning a new pattern. Anytime you learn a new pattern, it takes a little bit to get it done, right? But once I got the hang of it, the repeat on this, even though it's 4 or 5 rows for the repeat, is so simple and easy and fun that I was able to work this blanket up in one day. Now, granted, it was a weekend day, but one day, and it was good and it was done. So I'm actually thinking I may work up another one of these just because it was so much fun. And for each of these projects that I made from another creator, eventually I'll go ahead and link them directly in the description below, so that right now you can go and get the pattern or find it and create it. Eventually that link will change to my project page on my website, where I'll explain any modifications that I made, what rows I switched colors, what the final size was, what hook size I used. I think that information for somebody who wants to duplicate this exact project is a little bit more helpful. And then eventually I'll get all that into Ravelry, which I also have, but that's, again, another project for another day. Anyhow, these are the 10 blankets that I'm taking to Project Linus today. I hope you enjoyed looking at them with me. I apologize if this video seems a little rushed. Again, I'm filming this last minute. I haven't filmed in a while for personal reasons, but I'm hoping to gradually step back into that, get some podcasts going, and get some more yarn related and crochet related information to you guys, because it is fun for me to share all of these great projects with you. If you have any questions, drop a comment below, or just let me know which blanket was your favorite. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much.